accept and embrace a whole new world. Stuff happens. I want to say shit happens. They've edited me here, but here we go. Shit happens. Doesn't matter what business you're in. You know, maybe you're in a business at the moment, you're thinking this pandemic's really got me down. But it doesn't, pandemic or not, things change in business all the time. I started investing in 1991 when there was a recession in New Zealand where I grew up. We had a recession in 91. We had another recession again in 97. I was right in the throes of building a business with the global financial crisis, 2008, 2009 hit. I had floods ravage my business in 2010, 2011. The Brisbane floods, I had a business that went 3 meters underwater with no insurance because we were in a floodplain. Of course, we didn't see that fine print at the time when we signed up for the insurance. And also, now a global pandemic to add to the list. Also, the mining services downturn around 2014 hit one of the businesses that I was running at that time. Very, very difficult. Made it very, very difficult for me. It doesn't matter what these things come along all the time. They're cyclical things. Yes, a global pandemic is a little different, but ultimately it fits into the same theme as what I want to tell you is that habits, fashion, trends, and opinions all change. They can ravage a business just as equally hard as what a pandemic will. Governments, elections, laws, taxes, those things all change. How many times do you hear yourself, a salesperson, or someone operational in your business, or someone else that owns a business, oh, things are quiet now, there's an election coming up, no one's buying. What a load of rubbish. Of course people are buying. But you can talk yourself into all of these excuses if you want to. But at the end of the day, when people need things, they need things. People very rarely, if they have a genuine need for something, will give a two hoots about who's in the election. That's a conversation you want to have with your customer. Do you need this product? And what's going to change after election day or not? These things, these narratives we get caught up in, we teach ourselves, we talk to ourselves, we talk ourselves into these things, and they're just excuses. What about political unrest? No matter where you live in the world, we've had riots, recently, and also last year there was different things, activism, strikes, conflicts, wars, depending on where you live. These things all affect small businesses. Environmental hazards, weather, natural disasters. We have a lot of cyclones here in Queensland. Every year there's a few. They affect businesses. Accidents, illness, disease, pandemics, slip that one in there. But these things are really detrimental to business. They come along, maybe a family member gets ill, maybe you get ill. And as an owner-operator, that's always really, really tough to manage. What things have you got in place to make sure that you can deal with these as they come along? That's what we're going to talk about here. That's what we talk about in all our programs at Navigate Business, preparing yourself so that you can get through these unfortunate times that come along to all of us. Markets, risk, and sentiment change. Absolutely. People's view of a particular product or service, that changes, the sentiment change. It was something risky. Oh, I'm not going to buy a house right now. It might be risky. I'm not going to take on any extra debt right now. It might be risky. These things all affect our business just in the same way as what happened last year and through this year too, of course, particularly for those in Melbourne that really struggled through these lockdown periods. So what I'm trying to do here is get you in the frame of mind that you can understand that the only constant is change. Things are always changing. When we were working with the Queensland government and the Small Business Association of Australia through 2020, providing a Business Ignite program, we were dealing with a lot of small business owners saying, oh, we're just closed up now and we're going to come back when things return to normal. Really? Tell me, please, what is normal? There is always something changing in your business, and you've got to deal with it. So at this point in time, on this slide, I'm asking you to reflect on yourself of how you've reacted, how you've responded to change when change has come along in your life. Now, that could be all sorts of things. That could be a change of a partner or spouse. That could be having kids in your life. Now, that's a big change. Well, I'm sure we can all acknowledge that. When we've changed jobs, when we've changed town, all of these things, how have you responded? Changing something simple like a phone. How have you responded when you've had to change some technology? Have you resisted that? Oh, I've got to change my bloody computer. I don't want to change my computer. Have you thought about the upside? What's the other benefits of changing the computer or changing spouse? Thank goodness I've got rid of that bugger. I can actually now get someone great in my life. What is your natural reaction, and how can you think about adjusting it? Can you train yourself to embrace the change that comes along? And I can tell you one thing is for sure, that if you're open to change, change equals opportunity. See, what I've learned to do in my life, rather than the resist change, is I've learned every day I'm up, I'm out, and I'm looking for that change. What's transitioning? Energy is a huge one for me at the moment. I do a lot of investment in the energy space. And then, of course, in the resources space, which also supports the energy space, because we all need a lot of batteries. Everything we got now requires batteries. That needs more resources out of the ground. That's change. Are you looking for the changes in your industry? Where are customers going? Where are they changing to? That's the opportunity. Can you make those changes quicker than your competitors? For small business owners, often that's a lot easier to make that change, make those transitions, meet the market demand. That is your opportunity. Business success. Here we go. We've got some quotes here. Business success is not determined by the highest intelligence. Contrary to popular belief, business success is not determined by the highest intelligence. Exhibit A. Or those with the greatest skill. Absolutely not. The best builder, the best plumber, the best accountant, the best lawyer is not necessarily the most successful. The best business person creates the most successful business. Success is best obtained by those who are the most adaptable, the ones who can best see and manage the change. Now, I've got this written here, I've repeated it, but I really want this to sink in. If you've got a pen and paper handy, write this down, because you need to remind yourself of this. You don't have to be, a great, a great builder, as I said before, great partner. I'm speaking of the trades there, but you don't have to be a great chef to have the very best restaurant. So anyone can have a great business if you can learn the business skills and then go and employ better and better people. I can tell you that I guarantee you I could have the most successful doctor's surgery that there is. Not because I know anything about the medical profession, not because I've trained 7 years at university to be a doctor, but because I know how to run businesses. So you don't need the skill, you need the business skill. Distinct difference here. Okay, so when these things come along, when these changes come along, when these gasping ear moments take the wind out of your sails come along, like COVID did last year, like recessions do, downturns do, lulls in the year, when you might have a quarter that's down, loss, month after month. You've got to take this as an opportunity to reboot yourself. What do I mean by reboot yourself? It's a reset. Take it as an opportunity. How can you get better? How can you better place or prepare yourself and get yourself in a better place to deal with that change and embrace that change and maximize the opportunity? So when change comes along, we want to be looking at learning. It's a chance to reboot us. So what other skill do I need to come? What other knowledge do I need? What do I need to understand about the marketplace? Now, to get learning, we need to apply humility to ourselves. And if we've been in business for a long time, or we've been doing a skill or a process for a long time, we start to slowly and gradually lose our humility. Because I've been in this industry for 20 years. I've been a builder for 40 years. All of these things. Oh yeah, I know everyone in the marketplace. I know all the suppliers. I know all the customers. Yeah, but so what? See, when we start to say those statements, is we're losing our humility, and we need to gain back that humility, because humility is the key to us being able to learn, not just say we're learning. Oh yeah, I read a book, but actually absorb the information. It's really important. Rebooting ourselves is also showing discipline and commitment, to the business. The discipline, oh, things aren't going so well. Oh, I'm not going to go into I'm going to go in a bit later today. No one's coming in anyway. That's not discipline. That is not commitment. When things start going down, things aren't going your way, you need to throw more discipline, more commitment. Geez, we're not going so well. Maybe I'm going to go in an hour earlier, 2 hours earlier. I'm going to stay an hour later, 2 hours later. I'm going to up my cadence. I'm going to work harder in those times. See, when things are tough, we go to this retraction mode. And that is really dangerous. When we're starting to retract, we're starting to downscale, we're starting to get really super defensive. Yes, we need to be cautious. We need to be aware of what the threats are, what the risks are out there, but we've got to be optimistic. Because as long as there's all those same amount of people out there in the marketplace, and as long as there's the same amount of money out there, what do I mean same amount of money? People think that money goes away, flitters away. Oh, no one's buying at the moment. Money flitters away. It doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. In fact, when things pull back, what's happened in the last decade or so, since 2008, is that becomes more money into the system. So these comments make no sense anymore. Oh, there's no money out there. No one's spending. That's rubbish. They're just not spending it with you. And we'll talk about that a little bit soon, about how you're going to adjust your business. You see, life goes on. When these tough things happen, we have to be optimistic, because the sun is going to rise the next day. We're going to get up the next day. We're going to go and try it. We're going to go to battle. We're going to put our battle armor on, as we do as business owners. And we're going to go out and face the market, and we're going to go and try and win the war. Life goes on, and you can and you will survive. You can and you will survive. So, if that's not enough to be optimistic about, I don't know, what is? I'm going to get another opportunity at this today. I'll wake up in the morning, my eyes open, I've got another chance. I've got another crack at it, to go and win the customers over, win the market over, and win the war. To do this, and to do this well in these times of stress, you need to stay healthy. You're going to have your own ideas of what healthy is. You'll know what works best for you. But for me, that's getting up in the morning, straight into my exercise, getting like, for me, my run is my reset button. Going to the gym is a reset button, just getting to some level of physical exhaustion. Making sure I'm eating right, that I'm fueling myself. You see, a healthy mind cannot coexist in an unhealthy body. If we want to have a healthy mind, if we want to be able to go through and deal with these times of stress, we need to help our mind. We need to help our brain as much as we can by giving it a healthy body. Super important. Write down your goals. See, that our goals give us something to be optimistic about. Our goals give us something to be committed to. Our goals give us something that we can apply discipline to. It's almost impossible to show discipline if you don't have goals. It's almost impossible to achieve your goals if you don't apply discipline to them. Discipline, commitment. So remind yourself each and every day, what are those goals? And then start to break that down so that you're building out your plans to match that. Stay consistent. Don't lapse off. Don't drop back. Make sure that you're at least keeping it the same pace, but ideally when things are not so well, you need to improve the pace. We're talking about work ethic. We're talking about your hours, which again comes back to that commitment. We're talking about the habits, looking after yourself, the habits in business, getting there, habits of getting goals in place, the habits of turning up at work, the habits of being committed in the workplace, the habits of being committed to your physical health, exercise, diet. Those things are really important. This is not about work-life balance. This is about all the ingredients that are really critical to you having a great life. So once we understand that there's change out there, we're almost getting up expecting change every day, and we know how to deal with change ourselves. Then we need to go out back into the marketplace and into our business and look at what's going on, what's the vibe, what's happening out there. How will your business be affected? Now, I've broken this up into 3 main pillars. I'm going to rush through this quickly. If you have got questions regarding this, I would ask you to just jump in, chuck them in the chat, and I'll come back to them at the end, because I want to fly through this, and I will answer your questions at the end. But I want to make sure that we're getting through this timely for those of you that want to jump out of it. Well, we're already 20 minutes in. So let's jump through. So there's 3 main pillars. That when any change happens in your business, hey, it's easy to think of the pandemic because we're still at the back end of that now. But these are the 3 areas. Get your pen and paper handy. You might get these slides sent out to you on email. But this is your go-to where you want to look at, when these times of change come. We've got HR and culture. What's your staff numbers, your setting within the business? Have you got the right amount of people in there, or have you got not enough? Have you got too many? What's the appropriate number of staffing that you need to have in light of this change that's gone on out there? See, this is not talking about the change being a problem. This is just talking about you making adjustments in your business to deal with whatever it is that's come up. See, it's kind of talking about the same thing, but it's talking about it in a different way, which gives you, when you're talking about it in a different way, it gives you a different mentality about it. It's all about this embracing change. Your locations, does your locations of your workplace make sense with whatever's going on? Are you doing enough online? Are you doing enough in physical presence? Have you got your physical presence in enough locations? Have you got your online in enough locations? What about your people? Where are they working in the right places? Are you working in the right place? Should you have more people working from home to cut your overhead? Should you have more people working in the front line to make sure that you're getting more customers and more business and closing more deals? The way that you communicate internally, the way that you're building your culture, your communication, is that appropriate? Are you doing enough of it? Are you doing too much of it? Both of those are super possible. You can over communicate. I'm sure we can all think back to workplaces we've been in where there's been over communication. Terrible for productivity. As a business owner, this is a key skill, making sure these settings are right. Staff numbers, location, communication. We're thinking about what's the right settings for these things. How am I managing my people? Is it clear? Is it clear what we want them to do, what their tasks are? Is it clear when we want them to do that? Is it clear what outcomes that we want from those? See, it's very different talking about I want this done versus I want this done and achieve this outcome by this time. Really, really different way of communicating and managing people. And when I talk about it, it's not just staff members, it's suppliers, it's customers. When we talk about we can do this, to get this outcome at this time. Now that is a complete set of information. When we just talk about, yeah, we can do that. Well, yeah, I need you to do that. It's not a complete set of information. It's not communicating effectively. How are we training our people? Are we training our people? Are we training them enough? Could we be doing it more online? Do we need to be doing more in person? Do we need to outsource to get some done? What technology are we using to get all of this done? When we talk about where the business is located, how we're communicating, how we're managing, how we're training, what technology are we bringing into the business to make sure that we can do this in an effective and an efficient manner? Okay, so there's a lot to take in that column. There's a lot that gets missed out, and people, it's easy to sit there if you're an owner operator and you go, hey, I'm the only person in my business. I know how to communicate with myself. I know what I want. That. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about communicating upstream to your suppliers as well. I'm talking about communicating downstream to your customers. These are all cultural things. Your relationship with your suppliers is culture. Your relationship with your customers is culture. Might be other stakeholders in the business, there's culture. How you manage these things, how you run these things, how you monitor these things, all comes back to what kind of a business owner you are. Okay, and we can all get better at these things, right? None of us jump out of the box in a great 10 out of 10 at all of these things. You know, some of these things I was terrible. If I go back 20 years ago, I was really, really poor at them because I was used to managing myself. Like used to just, I'll just get it done. So over time, we can, if we open our minds, get better in each and every one of these things. Operationally, here we go. Operationally, in this column, what are we going to do here? So stock availability. Have we got the right level of stock? Now, stock. If we're talking products, that's very, very binary. You know, have we got is there supply chain issues like there is for a lot of people right now? So have we got the right shipping and logistics things in place? If we're a service-based business, stock availability means the amount of hours that you've got available to sell. That's your stock, the units of hours. Are they available at the right times to make sure that you've got the right level of customer service and satisfaction? Do you need to get people in to come and help you at peak time so you're not pushing out and driving people away to other businesses? Marketing and advertising, are you doing any? Are you doing enough? Are you doing too much? Are you even monitoring how much you're doing? Are you monitoring what free advertising and marketing you're doing? Are you monitoring what paid advertising and marketing? And how is that changing week by week or month by month? Are you overlaying your commitment to resources to marketing and advertising versus what your overall revenue is? You know, a lot of people talk about ROI on advertising marketing. You know, it's hard to work it out. But all I know is the more people that know about your business and the more you talk to your customers and manage that, eventually it's going to come back. You know, ROI, well, it's subjective, right? When do you want that? You want to spend $1 today and have it come back to you tomorrow or next month? I don't know that you can measure it.